Franklin County Commissioners proceedings from Monday, April 12, 2004.
Here. Are we in session?
Let's see.
Are you going to do both things? Where's Bridget?
Unless you want to wait. She's in with Fred.
Well, I don't see how you can do that and this too, so tell her to come.
Well, or else we can't do yours later because we have nobody to switch with you.
So it won't make a difference.
Well, yeah, but that makes it difficult.
See, he's trying to get his ready because he has to report to us in a half hour. I don't know why these people couldn't have been in here yesterday afternoon taking care of that.
It was there. And I was, another comment out there, I thought they did a better job of keeping the grounds clean. You know, they're always, horsemen are all over that place out there when they have a horse show. And they had that little whirligig out there cleaning it up.
Good.
It really helps, and they're going to
It's
have
really necessary to do that, and I hope the new doesn't wear off because
they're going to have to do that because if they don't, people coming in the hotel and the whole bit, you know, are going to be.
there's a difference between a class act and an unclass act.
Yeah. And the 6 acres across wasn't utilized very much, like two vehicles parked there. There were a few things, but most of it was pretty good.
I can do warrants. That doesn't take a...
Okay.
I move for approval of the warrants as listed.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Oh, Anita signed that. Okay.
Were you supposed to go to the races, Sue?
Huh? Nope. We had little kids there. We had about 14 egg hunts with the same eggs. We'll have them on the 4th of July, too, if they find those plastic
They'll be
eggs.
good. They'll be good at the 4th of July.
Well, no, we have plastic eggs with things in them, and those kids they'll pull them out on the 4th of July and just hunt them empty, you know, and re-hide them. And
Well, come on, Bridget.
And Wilbert had to clean his fish pond. It's a very traumatic thing, you know.
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are we going to the transit center? We get out for that, don't we? Rededication of the Bob Ellis Transit Center.
When is that?
10:30.
Today?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
Why are they rededicating it?
I have no idea.
Isn't it just fine the first time?
10:30, is it?
Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be finished by 10:15.
I don't think we're going to make it.
Me neither.
Why? You probably should come back. You know, go and then come back.
Okay.
Why? Why did I get that look?
Because that's a lot of miles. You obviously you haven't looked at the price gas.
Well, that's just your signature on that, Neva.
I guess.
Yes.
But were the hookups and all of that okay?
Yes, I don't think they had any, at least there were no visible problems. If there were, I wasn't aware of it. It appeared everything appeared to be
But there
going.
were no horses in the RV.
Oh, no.
Okay.
At least there were none there and no evidence while I was there. No, they know better than that, I hope.
I don't have much faith in that group.
Well, you're always
Ye
going
of little faith.
you're always going to find some that'll violate every rule you set up, you know, so. But it has to be signed better so that there is no problem. Because people come into these big living and horse trailer combination, and they've got to haul their tack out, and so you can see there is potential for a problem.
I'll tell you why I gave you that look. Because I have to be at my Cairo at noon. And I have to change clothes first. I don't go to my professional.
I don't either. As nice a man as he is.
Yeah. Right.
Well, there were some high-dollar outfits out there this weekend, I want to say.
Yeah, that's always amazing to me to see where they live, though. Some of them live in some low-dollar places.
But when you're messing with those horses, it doesn't
Yep,
matter.
that's what's important.
That's right. God, I've seen that for years, you know.
Well, the horse races out here, I think, are suffering because the insurance and licenses went up. I don't know. License used to cost $30. Now it's like $680. So people are not coming here, and they're putting their name all under one trainer in a lot of instances because they can't afford that for this little track. So
Well, he raised him up.
I think the state and the maybe the fairgrounds asking for more insurance, but it's probably a necessity.
Horse racing is a dying thing. I mean,
It
the
really
track.
is. Even down in Los Alamitos, they're talking about maybe closing. They sold that to someone, the ground.
You know, old Bud Urbach has been having horse shows out at his place for some time, and liability insurance is getting so.
Yeah, you can't do it. Just.
Just a few questions for you now, or invitations, I guess I should say. Central Washington is having a Sports Hall of Fame banquet dinner and induction for the class of 2003. It's going to be Friday, May 14th. Doors open at 6:30 and dinner served at 7. It's $40 per person at track. Are you interested in seeing?
I would love to go to that, but I can't afford that kind of meal.
Want to see who's going to be inducted?
Yeah, I guess there's anybody.
There's somebody that I'd like to. Jim Sandusky's from Othello.
I went to school with these folks.
Did you?
They and Jack.
I was telling somebody he and the little neighbor kid hosed down their apartment one time behind us in Othello, and I don't know where the mamas were, but they've dropped the hose and left it run. What a mess!
Yeah, not for me.
Okay, so I'll just take that back. And then, thank you. Looks like Transportation and Climate Change Conference 2004 global warnings on emissions are equal to 8 Mount St. Helens. Eruptions are needed. This is going to be Tuesday, May 18th.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, and Neva, we're back to you on the 4th of July parade, but we can put that off
Yeah.
until.
When's
It's
Cinco
not
de
the 4th of
Mayo?
July.
Third of-
It's the 3rd of
third,
July
yeah.
this year.
I know, but with Monday being a holiday, I'm not sure that I'll be in town.
Oh, I didn't stop to think of that. I may have to retract mine if something fabulous comes up. When's the Cinco de Mayo parade? First
May
weekend in
May 1st,
May 1st?
I think.
Yes,
Actually, 1 May.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you going to be in the Cinco de Mayo?
I said I would. I love parades so. Can't miss one.
Morning, Mr. Bull.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Okay, that's it.
You look guilty of something, Fred. I'm not sure what it is. You just
You
look
better
guilty.
be really nice because I'm only halfway through the evaluation. And I've already found some pretty touchy spots there.
The tough part is getting the rest of us to sign off on it.
Yeah, some of them think you need more training before we're going to send you to a re-education camp. Like the Russians do.
Ms. Kaufman.
Mr. Braun.
Oh, now we're sure that they know each other.
Yes, have to make sure it is Monday. My brain has to get jump started again. Yes, we're going to go into executive session. We're going to talk about the first union reclass that we had, and then we'll come out.
How long do you think?
Just probably about 10 minutes.
Okay.
What happened is Tiffany started this whole thing. On this
Okay,
whole thing,
let's do
Tiffany
it.
started the whole
Let's do it.
escalation. Because once Tiffany and Diane got those raises, my God,
We
everything
are
else-
we are on the clock now.
we shouldn't be.
No.
She said,
She said,
The
We've been
door
in
isn't
executive
open.
session.
well, I just was looking at the clock, and it was on.
that was my fault. She said we're coming out of executive session.
Yeah, but we hadn't opened the door yet.
Ready?
So I would entertain a motion.
I'll second it. First, I gotta hear it. 'Cause I'm not confused, but I just can't remember the numbers.
I move that we make a reclassification of the deputy bookkeeper's position and the clerk's judicial position to clerk's judicial financial manager to step grade 43 and to step 8.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, remember,
But now let me ask you, Tiffany, don't you normally,
Can I see that?
doesn't the committee on salaries, don't they normally come in with the step and the grade both?
Not the step. We do
They
the
just come in with the grade.
Because normally it would be between the elected official and the board which step they would want to.
Why?
Well, the elected official knows what the job is about and knows their.
But they
person.
come to me, and I really don't. I mean, somebody, the board, the salary committee board knows certainly more than most of us, and I would like to see them come in with both recommendation on both personally. I don't know how the other commissioners feel.
See,
Yeah.
I'll let them know. We'll do that for next time because I'm sure there's going to be more union positions.
You know, we can either accept or reject, but I like your input, and I think that you understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
You too. Let us know whenever it's time for your evaluation.
Not till January.
Okay, we won't forget.
Fred, we got a few minutes, so do you want to start on something else besides the cell tower? Or is that all you have?
I don't have, no, I have more, but my agenda's not ready.
You're what?
You can do my evaluation.
Sue's
Do it.
doing it. We're trying to sign off on it.
I've got it, but
You want to just go into executive session and have a conversation?
I guess.
Pat, you can leave on this one.
Stu, I'm sorry. Give me 1 minute, please.
We're driving her crazy.
No, I didn't enter, and it's taken it out.
Taking what out?
My notes.
Ew. Oh, it entered it. Maybe it entered it and put it somewhere else. I hope. I'll be glad to tell you what we did.
Oh, sorry.
How are we going to deal with that? Well, I'm wondering if we're doing enough. You know, the risk pool has these programs that we can download and go through, like bloodborne pathogen and stuff. And it's kind of up to the different offices to see that their employees are proficient in some of these things, or at least gone through the training. You know, just like the driver's training.
And obviously
Jay Winter come over and
there's any number of ways to handle that as far as, I mean, at some level, I guess you have to decide as management who in the county is going to be tasked with maintaining those records and ensuring people are doing it. I mean, you now have a personnel or human resources department, which you didn't have 2 years ago. And different counties have it set up different ways, obviously.
Has Tiffany been doing that function?
No.
I mean, frankly, I think there's a combination of a lot of folks doing little bits and not all of it being very well coordinated. I think you've designated Steve and his civil deputy as the risk managers.
Well, no, Steve did that.
And
Steve did that.
there are counties that have a specific additional, not concurrent with 10 other duties, but a specific risk manager within the
Yeah,
prosecutor's
like
office.
Clyde Carpenter is down in Cowlitz
And
County,
Melina-
although
Melina went over
they've
and-
got a horrible lawsuits going on down there over some of their departments.
And there's no foolproof system.
Cowlitz
There's
County.
not some magic wand you can wave and make all these issues go away. But there's a thousand different ways you can organize it, and I don't know how Steve and you
I
want
guess,
to discuss
well,
how to do this, but
Well, I remember, when Lois was hired, that because she did that as our
yeah, and
person.
And obviously there's
And then when she went into Steve's office, he said, because Benton County had the civil deputy as the risk manager, and he
well,
thought
they
that.
actually have a separate position within their office that is the risk manager. I mean, they have their chief civil deputies who do the stuff I do most of the time, and then they have a separate person who physically, make sure everybody takes these trainings here and there and keeps records of who's doing what and how often they've had their trainings.
I know, but they're 3 times as big as we are, too.
True.
Yeah.
But-
But anyway, I mean, he's the one that suggested we set it up this way. And so I guess I need to talk to him, but
I'm don't have the authority to make those decisions for Steve. I don't know as though he has any
But I thought-
intention that things are going to change just because I'm gone. I mean, I'm just a body in a position. There's
but
somebody
I
with that
thought
position.
that was part of your job duties, was being the risk manager. I mean, he
Yep. We do
have that title
Yes.
with you?
Yes.
And so I guess our conversation,
Yeah, is there more that we could do? Sure, I'm sure there is. Is
Well,
there
I
more we
think
could
we're
do
gonna
within
be
the resources?
required
That's the
to.
hard part.
I think we're going to be required to because of the risk pool, and some of the things that's been going on in other counties.
We just want to make sure we're compliant with what
We want to
required.
be covered. Now, I know Steve trains his office, I think, on that retreat for the bloodborne pathogen thing.
And there's a policy that covers other county departments. It says they're supposed to be providing
that.
appropriate training and such for.
So-
I would defer that to Steve. Obviously, he's
Okay, well,
he's the person, not me, who would make those choices.
Okay.
I don't know if there's an inherent reason to change the system. Obviously, the next person who replaces me may do a better job than I did. There's obviously, this county itself has had a number of different ways. And like I said, when Lois was hired outside of the prosecutor's office, she had a lot of specific duties related to that because she was not dealing with the other things that the
She
prosecutor's
was
office
hired
does.
as human services at
Yeah.
the time.
Yes.
And then when she was hired back within the prosecutor's office, I don't really know how she divided her duties, frankly, or where. Obviously, there were some concerns about the prosecutor functions aside from risk management. When I came into the position, yes, that was one of the 1,000 titles somebody handed me, but I have other areas of emphasis that were given priority at times
Okay.
too. So
Okay.
I.
all right, well, I guess Fred will talk to Steve about it, because I think now's the time to talk about it when there's going to be a change.
Oh, boy.
Is there still going to be a change?
I think so.
Oh, you're weakening?
No, I don't think so.
Panicking at times, but yeah. Apparently when Steve was here last week, there was some discussion with regard to the Richard Skull claim, and there was some hope it would get on the consent agenda. I understand it didn't, so I have 3 originals of a resolution which denies the claim because
Oh, that's the $286.
that's the windshield, and
Yeah.
the resolution states that because his own claim states the rock came from the roadway and the truck was not hauling rock in any way, and therefore the county's not legally responsible for that.
Okay. Now, the next resolution,
It's not a question of being legally responsible. It's the fact the county isn't. I'm just asking a question. It's not a question of being legally responsible. It's the fact that the county hasn't paid those claims in the past.
No, we're not legally responsible.
and we're not legally responsible.
And that's
And
why
we already made the motion, and
Did we? No.
Yeah, I thought, we didn't. I move approval of I'm trying to think of the word.
Denial.
Denial for a claim for damages regarding Richard Skull.
Yeah, I'll second the motion, but I voted nay last time for the same thing, Sue. Remember, we had this, and I
Oh,
voted.
no, I think you voted for it. You talked against it.
I
but
think he wanted to pay it.
Yeah,
No,
but
I
I
voted-
thought he ended up
no.
voting for it. You didn't, huh?
No, I voted against it.
Oh,
Yeah, I voted against the motion.
uh-huh.
No, I made the motion, you seconded, and you said, remember you said, well, we
Yeah.
can't make a negative motion. And that's what we're
Yeah.
changing here. I'll sign it and just put nay on it, that's,
Oh, okay.
That was a record-keeping issue I had to take care of. I do want to discuss with Fred at some point when you have some time. I guess our thought being that perhaps I can put together the body of a memo that you folks might want to issue to all department heads and electeds regarding reminding them the proper methodology for when a claim comes in and what
Oh,
needs to happen.
absolutely.
So that we don't have any confusion. But I'll talk to Fred about some of those issues too. And I'll send it to you, to
And
your
then-
staff, so you just have it on your letterhead, so it comes from the governing body.
Okay.
Anything else you have for civil department?
No, we're sorry we kept you.
Oh, that's all right. I actually got a couple other things. In fact, there were some questions about a cable contract that I also need to discuss with Fred. It doesn't need to be here in public session, but talk to him
Yeah.
later today if you can, because
Yeah.
Fred just showed me a contract, but there's some issues on it.
And I want
Is
to
that
talk
that
cable.
cell tower?
No,
No,
that's
this
a
is cable
different issue,
services
but I
act.
do want to talk about the cell towers because we've gone out and did
Oh,
we
okay.
did the process for the public hearings on the lease of the property. We went out for the highest bids and we received 2 bids last week. I did lay out the parameters as you and I have discussed as far as the basic parameters that they must follow. Now we need to sit down and try to put together a contract that kind of merges ours with that company, because you and I have both gone through those
So
contracts.
both these bids meet the parameters you set out?
Yes,
It's
they
just a matter of just picking the highest one and then...
Well,
flushing it out.
actually, we had 3 sites. Out of
We
the
never
3
voted on
sites,
that,
the
did we?
2 bid on 2 different
Did we
sites.
vote?
So there was no
I have
one
to
bid
praise
in competition with another
Did
bid.
we eye that?
One
Did
bid
we
for
vote on
one
that
site, the other
motion
bid
for
the other site. One
the
site's
resolution?
completely
This one
empty
here?
and has not
Yes.
been bid on. So the
So we can accept two, we can accept both bids.
Seconded,
right,
but
we had
he
3
is
parcels
voting.
that was bid.
No,
Two
on it.
bids came in on 2 out of the 3 parcels.
Okay.
but we did it last week, though. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, the same thing.
We did the situation to where the contract is for 30 years, but the negotiations for the price of the contract is
You
opened
can
up
second it.
every 5 years.
Robert's rule says
And
I seconded the
we put
motion.
a cap of the city CPI will not exceed the city CPI.
If you second it, you don't.
As far as the negotiations go, the county can negotiate up to a cap on the CPIs for them. But anyway, you and I need to get together and put together the contracts for them. Once we get those done, then I'd like to get, since you and I have been working on it, I'd like to get it done before you leave.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'd like to try to get it done this week.
Sounds good.
So,
Sounds like we got a bunch of stuff we can talk about this afternoon. Yeah, I should be fairly open this afternoon.
And seconded by Mr. Goff. 2 to 1 vote in favor.
Okay.
Nays, Mrs. Miller,
Yeah.
Mrs. Corcoran,
I'm
May.
gonna come up to my office around 2 o'clock or something.
Correct.
actually, why don't you come to my office? It's much more comfortable.
Either way works
We
for me.
have coffee.
We have coffee. Can I have some coffee?
1:30, all right?
Now that we've mentioned coffee.
Yeah, that should be fine. Now, refresh my recollection, did we already have a draft of the lease agreement at one point? You got that? And I won't bring anything except me.
It might be just as simple as attaching Exhibit A, and we're done.
Hopefully it is not so. All right, anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you very much.
You got all those deals too that came through on the redistricting.
Oh, yeah.
And you saw where the Spurline had scratched out the attorney fees on both ends.
I didn't see that. I didn't see any of that.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah,
right
it came
there.
Spurline across the map. See, we said that we'd go for the attorney fees, and he scratched that out.
Can I come back up front?
You can come back up front, Greg.
I have all my stuff to do.
He denied it, but he scratched out the attorney fees.
Is that in today's mail?
Fridays.
I've got a problem here with our budgets, liability reserve.
Oh, he didn't award attorney fees then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, he scratched them out, yeah.
Liability reserve, Fred,
Yeah, going for it.
it's got $94 in it.
What
We
does
have
ours
what?
say?
No, fine, number 5.
It's budget transfer, that's right. I'll go back to that.
Because
Oh,
liability,
I know what it was. Remember that
assessment,
that we got and we were trying to pay it out of contingency and they said no, it needs to be taken out of the two other budgets, the miscellaneous budgets in the back. Liability reserve was one, and then there was another one, and when we split it up and we went to liability reserve, it left $94 in there. And I said, well, this is what Neva wanted. She wanted these paid out of here, not out of current expense. And it was one out of one, and it was like, and I don't remember
I think
the dollar amount.
it was just the road department's portion.
But it
What's
won't
out
make
of
any
here?
difference on it, Fred. In the long run, I mean, the money's got to come out of our contingency. We need it anyhow.
Well, I'm just trying to remember.
I thought we were going to take the 8,000 the road department used out of this, and then the other out of our contingency reserve for current expense.
You didn't want any of it coming out of contingency reserve. As a matter of fact, you and I sat down here at the board, and you said, this number, this number, that. And I took it.
And this
down.
was on what specifically, Fred?
It was an insurance claim that came in, or it was.
No, it was the assessment.
Okay, I can't.
No, wait, I remembered, and I remember that we did ask to be
And we
taken
had
out.
to pay it before.
And you were going to split it up accordingly.
Right, and the bill got
Yeah.
paid. It was just how that resolution was drafted up.
I guess I need to see that resolution.
But really, why does it make any difference? You know, we took it out of there.
Well, it just drained that one account down to.
But it's still, I mean,
But you
had we not done that, it would take it out of contingency.
But you see, my problem is, Frank, is it's not it's not our liability. It was our L&I.
Well,
The assessment was because Darren Hand carried that check over to Seattle, and it was L&I. And Bridget cannot get these two budgets straight.
Oh, now I see what you're saying. She took it out of the L&I and not.
You know, I told her to do that. I'm not even going to put that off on her because I came in. Neva, you gave me the numbers. You read it right out of the book. You said, this is the number, this, and this is the number.
Well,
for that.
either way, it shouldn't make any difference on the thing.
Well, all I'm saying is that I did as I was directed.
No, I don't think so. But
I did. We'll go through it again, but I mean,
But-
we went over this thing 3 or 4 times.
in fact, these titles have to be changed.
But on what I'm saying is, though, let me ask for my own edification. Suppose, had you taken it out of liability reserve, were there enough funds there?
Yes, there was enough funds
There's
to cover both.
$94 left.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I didn't say there was any.
But Ella-
And liability is risk pool. And L&I is retro.
But either account, if we're going to have to supplement them, is going to have to come out of the contingency reserve. So it's going to be the same number of dollars either way. But I remember our conversation on it, and as I remembered, it was to come out of the liability reserve now.
I'll just have to grab that resolution back up and read it back
Yep.
out.
Okay, so bid awards on cell towers we're not doing.
No, I am. I'm actually asking that you sign an award letter.
Okay.
The award letter to
Slot maker.
Eric Mobius actually turned in a bid for Verizon Wireless at $1,200 a month for Site A. And so
And Wireless Incorporated is going to go for the $450.
Yes, and these are actually here for me to send out with my signature on them, so I'm just asking that I go ahead and send them this award letter to them that I
Okay,
signed. and send out.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Now, this isn't the agreement, this is.
No, this is just an award letter.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll
Okay,
get
any
that.
discussion? All in favor? Say
Aye.
So Fred signs those.
I do want to comment on it. The wireless, cellular wireless, they bid on Lot C, so we had A, B, and C.
And we were going to have them shift if they would.
I asked them if they had any problem coming over to B to where they were
Yeah.
closed, to where we didn't have a hole in between the two fences. He agreed to that, so they're going to move over to Lot.
And that was a
B,
good move, because then we got the other we can maintain and what have you on the side.
Okay. The next one is,
Okay, the next one, these are inter-budget transfers. These are reimbursements back to the county into the Superior Court. They'd asked that they be able to reimburse their budgets. The discussions that we had was that with you in asking you if you were interested in this, you said you would rather that come back to current expense and go back into contingency.
Because we're going to be hit by them again.
Again, and I talked to the judge and to them, and they had no problem with it. They said it's not offensive to them.
now this is not a non-revenue. This is a new revenue.
This is a new revenue, yes, because that was an expenditure. Now this is a revenue that came back because of that expenditure.
A revenue from where, Fred?
Well, they
From the
reimbursed.
courts.
They reimbursed
State
Franklin
court.
County for their expenses.
Oh, I see.
So we paid. I say we. The county paid the $11,000, and then
Well,
they,
we paid more. It's just a portion of the cost.
But anyhow,
that
no,
we get back.
coming back to the contingency reserve is a great way to go. I move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next one. Where's your blue pen, Sue?
I picked up the wrong one. Now I'm signing with my blue one, just to confuse people. In case I ever disappear, that will be used for a clue. I'll put this away so I don't make any more mistakes like that.
and this next resolution here is basically the same situation. It's for $2,323.
I move the approval.
All second?
All in favor?
Aye. No, coming back directly into their budget is not what we want.
Are we sure that this overpayment in dues was us and not the road department?
I'm not sure of anything, Eva.
Now see what you've done to it.
Maybe I should have said that after she signed that evaluation.
No, really, I'm serious.
I don't.
Do we have the paperwork on it, or
Bridget
why?
probably does, so you want me
why-
to have her come in?
But why, let's just go ahead and put it in and then check with them.
Okay, but because, and the reason I say that is we gotta be careful.
Well, yeah,
Then
we
what
can't
goes-
take road department's money.
Yeah,
From what I understand, that's still coming out of Superior Court, though. That was the way I understood
no,
the
this is
explanation.
the dues issue. The dues, overpayment of dues.
But I thought that was overpayment of dues out of the prosecuting attorney's office of their Superior Court.
Well, no, it's from Wasack. We received a check for
But we
$23.
can adjust back on this.
You know,
thing.
I'm going to stop this from happening because I'll come in on a Monday morning, I'll have this stuff put on my desk. I have 15 minutes to go over this agenda, bring it in, and then I don't know what I'm throwing in front of
We
you.
can-
I'm just here that these are reimbursements coming back to us from this, and I'm assuming everything.
We can
They
adjust back
are,
if we have
but-
to.
I mean, I think it's great to put it in current expense.
I'll just
but-
make sure it's not the road department's reimbursement.
Or there might be a portion of it that, okay. Now what's next?
All right, this one's going to take a little bit of explaining. This is the Beacons bill. We received the Beacons bill, and our contract was for $27,701.44. They sent us a bill for $30,191.25, and this does not include the judges. The $27,000 is 100% of the cost for moving the courthouse, including all 3 floors of
Everything down here.
right, and out to the portables, the judges' chambers. I received the bill at $30,191, and I called Beacons this morning and asked Becky what the situation was on that. She had a breakdown of the changes that had occurred once they had moved the stuff down here. There was hours built for people reconfiguring their offices, changes, and things that we knew of. There were changes in pretty much every one of the departments that basically drove the cost up to $30,191. There is a complete breakdown of what those changes are. Now, I knew that there was changes going to happen because of changeover.
What was the initial bid?
It's right there on the resolution. It's $27,701, and they're billing us for $30,191.
So it's an increase of $3,000.
$1,300. $1,300 and $1,400 a little over.
Well, it's
Excuse me, 20. No, what am I talking about?
3,000.
Not quite 3,000.
Yeah.
Not quite 3,000.
But it's about
27. $2,300, $2,400.
$2,490, so $2,500.
Yeah.
Is what the increase is. However, this does not include moving the judges, so there will be additional costs on.
But that
top
was
of
never
this.
bid in the process.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it
was
was.
all bid in the very beginning.
But this
That was-
extra, is this not their slip up on not doing them?
No. Basically, there was a hours. Whenever they bid to bring the stuff down and set it down one time. Every time somebody said, well, you know what, I don't want this desk here, I want it put over here, or I want to change this over or do that, that was all added costs. And so, and I'll just come right out, there was about 100 hours of changeover in the auditor's office between elections, the auditors, and everything else. There was 26 hours in the commissioner's office. There was hours in each one of the offices because they, when they asked everybody to draw up that thing and say, okay, this is how I want my furniture, then they'd come in and they'd set it down. That was the bid.
How much an hour are they charging us?
$35 an hour. It was $35 an hour to do it. So when
Well, that couldn't be quite right then, what you're telling us.
well,
We're
it's a
looking
little
at
confusing.
2,500 here.
We're looking at 2,500, but let me go get the breakdown
Well, I
for you
suppose
because I
if
have.
they're
Well,
called
isn't
to come
this
down
it?
and change one
Oh, yeah,
office, it's
okay.
from wherever
Yeah.
they are down there, huh?
But what I'm saying, they had 100 hours extra in Zona, that's $3,500. We only had a $2,500
Bill.
increase in
Well,
cost.
no, because they haven't moved the judges yet. That $2,700
Or
was
27,000 included the move. of the judge.
including the moves for the judges.
Okay.
I asked her to give me that number, to what it was going to cost to break that out for me, and she was going to call me back this morning, but she hasn't given me that back. Bottom line is, they did the changes. We asked them to do the changes. She came to me and she said, look, this is happening and we didn't bid for all this. And I said, I understand that. I said, you will be compensated. Let's keep this move going. And so they went ahead and did the changes. Now,
So when I moved my desk, we had to pay them to move it?
yes, every time
So
they
I wouldn't
picked
have
up
moved
that
it from
furniture
there.
again and moved it again, that was all extra time. So, yeah, because they bid to pick it up and drop it
But
off.
I didn't draw anything, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
you
to
did.
where my stuff wanted to be set.
Yeah, because when you walk into your office, there was a diagram on the wall that said, I want my desk here, credenza here, this here, that
Okay,
here.
yeah.
So when they walked in, that's the way they set them. But if you came back and you said, well, can you move this desk over
Yeah.
here? Well, they moved the desk over there.
I'd have never moved it if I'd known that.
Well,
But
you know,
I should have figured it, you know.
When
It's
she
gonna be- in fact,
originally-
I was kind of thinking somebody else was doing it.
well, when
It's Jared's fault.
when she originally brought the bids in, I called her back because it said this is an estimate. I called her and I said, look, counties don't work on this is an estimate.
Yeah.
I said, go back and take a look at what it typically takes, you know, any change, because they'll come in, they'll look it over and they'll say, well, okay, this is our estimate, this is what it's going to be. This is just a general estimate. I said, typically, how does that work? She says, usually it runs about 4%. I said, add 4% on top of it and submit that. That's how that $27,000 bill came in. That was their estimate. So when they came in, they did the $27,000 worth, but all of these changes that took place, I would say probably brought it up. Well, you got the paper in front of you. It should say what that total was.
Now, she's charging us, the basement break room had to be moved twice.
Well,
Extra trip for a refrigerator.
they went back and got the refrigerator out of that break room. That was
Oh,
down
because
in
it's
the,
got a change of plan.
why?
Oh,
Were
you're
we
talking about in the basement of the courthouse. Why
They-
wasn't that included in the bid? Because it was there and needed to be moved.
That refrigerator was put in here. I told them, I don't want that refrigerator stuck in this room over here. Take it downstairs.
Oh,
So
okay.
when they did that,
Oh,
that was the second move.
and then move 7 copiers. I thought she said that they would include the copiers in the bid if they got permission from the companies.
They would, but that was not part of the original bid because they told us up front, we will not move the copiers because you'll lose your warranties on that. So that wasn't bid into it.
Okay.
However, if the companies give them approval to move it, then they would move it. So,
Okay.
So that's where you figure the extra on. What's it gonna cost to get the judges moved, Fred?
well, I don't know. You know, she's going to get it back to me.
That shouldn't amount to too much.
Well, and this is what I told Becky. I said, you know, Becky, when I took a look at the $27,000 to do all of that, this little bit of extra to me didn't seem like a large percentage of the complete move. You know, so I didn't anticipate having this much of a change. So, you know, let me know what the judge's costs are going to be. I can go ask Bridget if she's heard from her back or not. So I don't know. You know, probably. I mean, all I can do is look at the basement, and the first floor of the main floor. The judges is very little.
They don't have
in comparison
much.
because you only have maybe 3 or 4 different offices that need to be moved out of there. They're not big offices.
No.
So I can just speculate on a percentage, but that's all it would be as a
So
speculation.
$3,000 to move the judges.
I'm thinking 5.
Five.
maybe. But in that conversation with Becky this morning, I said, well, based on what I've seen here, how can I not realize that once things get moved over there, somebody asks you to come back and do this? People don't realize when you say, well, can you just move this desk? Boom, that's extra money at $35 an hour. And when you got a crew of 5 or 6 people there, and these people are working for an hour, it's 35 times 5 or 35 times 6. So
That's something to hurt.
it actually does add up. I guess the only thing I can say is I really still think for what had happened, the amount of money that was, we've still saved quite a bit of money at it. Not saying we should throw the money away. This is just the facts. This is what happened. So
What's the resolution number?
84.
Pardon? 2004-185?
No, it's 84. That was, I've got it.
You have an interbudget transfer for 23-23 is number 184, and the previous interbudget transfer for 11,199 is 183. So this is 185.
Madam Chair, I'd move for approval of Resolution 2004-185 as specified.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, we still are within budget.
yeah, we're still within our budget. May 5th is the bid opening for the courthouse.
We'll be a lot smarter on May 6th.
I have a feeling we'll probably be pretty well educated on the 5th, too. But we have alternates in there. I think we'll be good.
I'll be anxious to see what they say. After all the planning, you never know.
Well, I talked with Brian last week. Talked to him all the time, actually. He still feels pretty confident that we're all right.
What did Rob decide?
He hasn't. He had met with the city of West Richland. They didn't offer him anything more than just a summer intern. So he thinks that last I had talked with him, he felt that he was probably leaning more in staying with the family, which I hope he does at this point. I think he could be a pretty good benefit.
Well, I know one thing, that he would like insurance.
Oh, I didn't talk to you guys about that? I'm sorry.
Because I talked to him, I said, I hate to lose you off of our job, but if you've got that opportunity, I don't think we commissioners don't.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Neil, because I did need to talk with you about that. That's exactly what he had said to me. And so I said, well, I'd be happy to go back and talk to the board about it. Bringing you in as a full-time employee. However, when the job is done, unless Public Works has an opening for you, I said, we don't have a spot for you. I can't guarantee anything past, the courthouse remodel completion. And I said I would go back and ask the board and see if they would be willing to bring him in as a full-time employee under Public Works. So he would continue to work for Tim. Basically, we would reimburse his salary through Public Works, would give him the opportunity to work under a professional engineer, which would go towards his PE in the long run. He would go into the union, and I went out and I talked with the union president to find out if the unions would have any difficulty, and they expressed verbally that there would be no problem with it because they think Rob is a good asset to them, which I believe he's a
Who's
good
the union
asset.
president?
Pam. Reynolds?
Yeah,
Yeah, Pam.
the one that oversaw our front steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to speak.
That may not be.
Anyway, so I would like to be able to offer him a full-time position where he is to work through the courthouse. Now, another benefit to having him
is because of parking lots too.
I was just going to go there. He can design those parking lots out front for us in the interim. He has the qualifications and capability of doing that, and we would save his salary just in that alone.
Are we talking about the parking lots out front or the 6-acre parking lot too?
All
Both.
three.
Yeah. All three.
Yeah. Well, they're both. I'm thinking
The one out front is a 1.
Yeah, but he has the ability to do all of that. Now I want to, if you agree to allow me to ask him to come on, and he agrees to do that, I want to make it very clear he's being reimbursed through Public Works, but our priorities are first. And then if we don't have anything and Tim needs to use him for something else, then he can be used out by Tim.
Well, he won't have much chance to be used out if he does what we're talking about right now.
I don't think so, but I just want to make it very clear that he's there to take care of our business first and everything else is second. So with that, could I ask?
Is there a spot for him out there? I mean, does he have a desk or?
Well, I called out to find out what they were doing with the lab shack. There's a trailer that they take out on jobs. They'll set it up as an inspector's office and then a testing facility out there. They have it basically going to be used for a couple of months during this fall project, but they think after that that will be available. I want to move it down to the courthouse and set it up in the construction yard to where he will have his own office where there'll be telephones and computers. I already talked with IS to see if it's capable, which I knew it would, but we can set him up to where he would have his own lab office right there on site, which would give him an office. It would also give him a design area to do the parking lots and that sort of stuff, so he can work on it down there. So he might be kind of wandering around for a couple of months, but I'm sure we can work on that. So no, there's no spot out of Public Works for him. There's really no spot here for him, but if I can get that lab shack set up for him, then he will have his own.
Would there be any place out of track, Fred?
Being there with Rich.
You know, I think we can find a spot for him.
Yeah.
I think we can. If we can move
For-
that lab shack in, he's set.
Yeah, but in the 2 months that.
But after that, it's,
But wouldn't we get it right away? No, they need it in the fall.
Yeah, they just need to move it out. So, if they need it in the fall, we can set him up in it in the meantime, and we'll find a spot for him. We'll fit him in somewhere.
that's not an issue, okay.
Maybe you could go downstairs.
Well, maybe he can just take over my office in the courthouse. The one that I had up there until they go into full-fledged construction.
They're going to start in the basement anyway, aren't they?
Who knows where they're going to start? The only thing that I know
thought
is
you
that
said
when they
they were-
start doing the asbestos and lead removal, he will not be able to be inside that building because of the airborne
Anybody else, yeah.
contaminations. So,
So will they have to wear those little white outfits and cover?
they'll be, the way I saw them last
Little
time.
ghosts
they're
with
full.
legs in there.
Just like they had upstairs when they did the
Yeah.
prosecutor's office.
Yeah, we can find a spot. We'll
Those
find
cute
a
little
spot.
white suits.
Okay, well,
Do we have an executive session now?
I don't believe so.
It's just there.
No,
so
we
can-
jumped ahead when you said.
Okay,
we
I thought,
started doing it.
okay.
I need to.
So can I get at least a consensus to go ahead and offer him the job with full benefits?
You have my
Yeah,
approval.
got
Yeah.
mine.
And he will be, actually, I should add, he's an engineering tech two, which is going to hold his salaries to where it is, and I believe it's trying to.
We pretty much agreed to do this before, though. We'd agreed to go ahead with it.
not for the insurance. though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one kicker that he talked to me about, that
The insurance was such a big deal with people anymore.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
When I came back from Chelan,
oh yeah, talk about Chelan a little bit. Sue has to leave pretty soon, I
But,
think.
yeah.
actually, I went up to get a follow-up on the
Courthouse?
Well, not the courthouse, the I-684.
Uh-huh.
Find out
What
what
about
other counties are preparing.
864.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're right, it is 864.
You, yes.
And then the legislative follow-ups, and, I think, well, I forget who was talking to me. I think it was Sue was telling me not really much happened during that, and she's absolutely right. Not a lot did happen. There was a lot of bills introduced, but nothing really came out from it. But there was one of the representatives there, legislator, who knows Tim Eyman personally and seems to have a pretty good relationship with Tim. And this I-864 is basically losing a lot of wind. He's saying, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not going to happen, but he says, I would be very surprised if it did happen, because when he had sit down and talked to Tim really did not want to focus on county government. He wanted to focus on the state and taking revenues from the state, but every time he looked into any tax areas, the state has all of their tax dollars tied to education, and he knew that education, the people would never go for cutting education, so the only way he could get back at government was to go for the property taxes. And he had been told several times that counties have already taken 2 hits, and to give them a 3rd hit, it would be pretty devastating to them. But he went ahead with trying to get this initiative on the ballot. He's not gaining a lot of ground. As a matter of fact, he does have very little support. He does have some support, but not as much support
Well, I think
as they've had.
for
in
the
past.
mere fact that he's publicized he's taken a salary is where he's losing some support.
Well, that was talked about also.
You think
too.
32 or 300 a week is a little strong?
A little strong.
What'd they say about that?
I think
Anything just
basically the same comments
Oh,
you just
yeah.
made. But apparently he had found a way, and I talked to Sue a little bit about it, and I know nothing about this initiative other than he's found a way to attack gambling.
Yeah.
And how gambling is tied to the state, which then it affects the state. So he's getting a lot of support for that. He's receiving a lot of funds from outside agencies. So he's turned his focus on he's turned his focus on this initiative, and he's not doing so much with the 864.
But if 864 makes the ballot, it'll fly, Frank.
Well, I know, absolutely. I'm not trying to say, hey, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know, I think
The guy just thinks it's not as positive as it was meant to be in the beginning.
right. There's
gotta
not
get
as
it.
much emphasis as the last two initiatives as there is on this one. So now I still think that we need to do two budgets. I want to sit down and, you know, if the board will let me, and I can't imagine why you would tell me not to do this, but I want to sit down and try to start putting together two budgets, you know, to at least look at what would happen if 864.
Well, I think
passed.
we need to look at two things. Number one, we won't start that process till after 1st of July. That time we'll know whether it makes the ballot or not. If it makes the ballot, that's one thing. And I think now would be premature to worry about the two budgets until we find out if it makes the ballot.
Well, one thing I've talked to Sue about is that, you know, if you're thinking about cutting Chihuahua Park, that new contract that you signed, or if you haven't signed yet, you still have to give them a year's notice. So that's not going to be a $250,000 savings today.
Well, this initiative is going to hit us.
Next year. If it passes, it goes into effect in 05.
Yeah. So it will hit us. Yeah, it will affect us next year.
We're always 1 year behind on taxes. Or
Well, I hope you're right.
It'll because we are, Neva, but see, we make our budget based on what the taxes will be generated next year. Our budget's made on next year's generation.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So you're saying that we're
But we're
collecting
assessed-
2003 taxes right now? Mm-hmm. Well, if that's the case, then that gives us a year. But I'll go.
I think we're misinterpreting this here. I think it hits us in 05.
Well, I'll find out. You know, I'll go talk to Jenny about it. But there's some things I took notes while I was there as far as what other counties are doing and stuff. And so I think it was worth my time. I really do, because I don't know that I have a comfort level, but at least I see what other counties are doing and you know what we're.
well, some counties have already cut back. You know, like Grays Harbor and.
But they cut back because of the other hits, have they not?
Well, I'm not sure.
Well,
I don't think they
did
just
they
have the
have-
revenue.
Did they have a good crowd there? Or
Yeah, actually, there was a pretty good crowd there. Bill Vogler was looking for you, Neva, because they're getting ready to put you on some preliminary voting, primary voting.
Oh,
And since you were a former auditor in charge of that, they wanted you to get involved in. I'll give you a little bit on that. If they eliminate that primary, that's how you commissioners become in your districts. They determine. So if they eliminate that, then that takes away the ability for the commissioners to basically be voted in their districts in the primary. So now there would be no primary votes.
So now you go countywide immediately, is that right?
Yeah.
Well,
And
I
that's-
doubt that would be true.
Well, that's illegal.
You'd have to be voted out of you'd have to be nominated some way from your district.
yeah, but the
Yeah,
only
but you're not-
nomination is by the primary.
Yeah. And that's
But
what they
there
were
would have to be still some nomination by the district because we're set up by districts.
Well, if they eliminate the primary,
Maybe they unset the districts.
it's a whole. You know, somebody's opening up a can of worms. That, you know,
We
it's
should
just
spend a
like
lot of-
anything
But
else.
Leo
The dominoes
talked
start
about that.
falling
He
down.
said because there's one, if we don't have a primary, then there's another statute that says commissioners have to be nominated from their districts, and if you don't have a primary, you don't have a nomination.
So, we're all out of business, huh?
Either that, or you just become lifelong commissioners.
Well, that
Because
must be
the
that.
same
That might be a
commissioners-
good deal.
The
Well,
same
county
commissioners
then I
would
can-
keep their position
Then you
until
could
they
stay.
get it worked
Yeah.
out.
Considering our ages, that might have been a trouble long time.
You know, that was, but I just kind of want to forewarn you a little bit.
I hope they
But
come
he
up
hasn't-
with
he hasn't
something
called me.
for.
The Grange has an
the end of the
We
year.
initiative.
just talked about it Friday.
Did you know the Grange has an initiative right now that's going to be up for vote, and they're trying to get signatures on it that will bring this about. It'll bring the primary back.
Yeah.
The Grange was one of a real strong.
They're the ones that started in the first place.
Yes,
Yeah.
But I thought with this last court decision that they weren't going to hear it from the Grange.
No, the Grange. is
I
still
read
pushing-
something
they're
to that
pushing
effect.
theirs.
I don't know what it
That's
was.
the
but
Montana
I-
primary, and I heard it on the
I
radio
think
this morning that the Grange is pushing that initiative, and they gave the number to it also, and I don't recall the number.
Well, they were-
Weird.
You know, actually, it was pretty good.
The
conference.
There's
Montana
always some
primary
good things
wouldn't
in
be
those. Maybe
such a
not
bad
everything,
thing,
but
however. You know, as long as you're, you know, like I'd say, I want my Democratic ballot, and Frank and Sue, they're Republican.
In
But it
Montana?
wouldn't be, it would be a secret.
In Montana, commissioners serve for 6 years. Do you know that? I read it. I
But-
get Montana newspaper.
But
now.
the thing about it is, then you have your nomination for the Republican candidate and Democratic candidate to go on the ballot.
You have your nomination within the party.
Yeah, and I think that's
in the
what
Montana primary?
No, yeah, and that's what the parties want, but they also want the list. And in the Montana, my ballot is secret. Of the ballot that I choose is a secret ballot, and that's what,
And that's not
We're
what the
used to.
parties want.
huh?
That's not what the
No,
parties
they want a list of who proclaims themselves to be Democrats and Republicans or Libertarians
Libertarians
or
or-
whatever it is. And
Or independents.
People that one time vote Democrat, next time vote Republican.
They don't
Well-
do that in the primary.
they don't want them to do that in the primary. The parties want their
Parties want to control.
choice of their candidate because they say there's a crossover. That
See, that's
the
why I
Democrats will
sort of
vote
troubled
for
that
the
way.
weakest Republican.
In the primary.
Or vice versa.
We
And
get the best.
that really hasn't
But they don't want
been true to form.
You know, like Valora
they
There
can't,
might be, yeah.
they can't prove
Well, like
that that's
Laura
ever
said,
happened.
you know, the parties should just go in there and go through the list and see who's what. You know,
But
I don't know how you do
But
that.
you
she
can't,
seems
you
to
can't
think
throw
you do.
anybody out, though.
Yeah.
You can't throw anybody out.
But and then in the general, you can cross over all you want.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
you
you
vote-
cross, then your choices have been
But you know,
somewhat
there
limited.
are a
then
few
there's-
hardcore Democrats and a few hardcore Republicans that won't vote across party lines.
Yeah.
But most people will go back and forth.
Oh yeah, some of them will say, you know, my grandfather would roll over in his grave if I did that.
Yeah.
Well, when I came back Friday, I went out by the RV park to see how full it was, and I think there was probably about 8 slots left.
There were still some left.
I know. I drove through Friday.
Well, now what
afternoon
did
or
we
something.
charge them? Did we charge them full board?
$22.
Was it $22?
How come?
We don't have cable or telephones hooked up yet. So,
But
I
what
was-
we
And it'll be
talked about, we
34?
talked about 15
Be
initially
34
here.
when they are.
No,
I thought
for
that's what
users, the track is $26.95.
Oh,
But if it's a soccer player that's coming in, then it's $34.95.
I think we need to sit down though and think about this, really, because we had some vacant spots out there. We had some vacant spots. And we had a lot of trailers that were parked out that we could have filled those spots. And I was surprised we had any vacant spots.
yeah, but some of them have the David Cooper syndrome. That's my brother. He never pays if he can possibly park someplace.
And there are those that way. You know, you come in and for there were two-day shows instead of a 4-day show. There were two-day shows, and if you're coming in for a 2-day show, you know you don't need to hook up 4 days.
Well,
to deliver.
Yeah.
Well, this is my theory. They're not allowed to park if there's a vacant parking slots.
I don't think you can enforce that. Either.
Why?
Because
we
that's
don't-
communistic.
We don't have to allow them to be on our parking lot.
Well, I think we're going to have to be confrontational on that.
Well, as long as we've got an RV park, it should be full, and not have them park willy-nilly.
They weren't parking willy-nilly out there. In other words, the parking was well coordinated. There were just maybe 3 or 4 exceptions in the whole thing. You know how they used to come in and park like that? They weren't parking that way. They were parking coordinated.
I think I've griped enough about it that I don't think that they're trying to.
I guess my thought is on it, I don't want to get, I think we ought to give it a little bit of time and see how it works. If there was soccer tournaments going on out there, then I would be very surprised if those empty spots didn't fill up with soccer.
And you may be right, but I still feel that we're high. We're high on our price. That's my personal feeling.
But we
Well, we
don't
gotta
want
make it pay.
to. We don't want to underdo the one down the road.
The one down the road, he charges $26.95 for the same hookups that we have.
But we're in a different situation than the guy down the road. You know, he's renting the spots. We're renting the spots in the facility. And I think we have to look at it from that standpoint, too.
Well,
Just be careful what you do, because Jack jumps all over me.
we're
not worried
10%.
about Jack.
I think we're about 11.5% above the guy
Now,
down the
friend
road.
told me
Pardon?
what to
We're
tell
about
you.
11.5% higher than the guy down the road.
Yeah. And I don't.
He rents his out for $26.95. If you're using track, then it's like $23.95. If you're using track's facility, we're renting ours out at $26.95. If you're using track, $34.95 if you're not using track.
I feel we're high.
So maybe you could go a little less on.
Well, you know, the conferences that I went to, they said, well, what's the option? I mean, there's RV parks out there, Frank, that's charging that much money and they're filling up. You guys decide what it is that you want to do. I
Let's
just
try
think
it
that
for a
we
while.
in the worst way, I want to optimize the Franklin County's RV park and get our subsidies out of current expense. And, we can always come down, but you know what? You're hard pressed to turn around. And
Okay, so how much did we make?
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to go up there and talk to Rich. But every one of the spot, I think all but one spot was out at the south of the track pavilion. Those were all rented out at $20, $20.
Well, then, if they're going to use our parking lot, then we need to charge them something.
That's up to the board to decide. This is where
Whether
I
it's
came.
$5, $10, whatever, we need to charge them something.
I gotta leave.
Well, what are we going to offer?
Oh,
Now, we got 2 sets of.
That old picture you said you had at the courthouse. I'm gonna get a copy.
We got 2 sets of circumstances. If you offer no amenities, it's going to be difficult because they're coming there, they're paying, and they're supporting the facility. If you're offering at least having water or you've got cleanup or something over there, then I think you're entitled to charge them something.
Oh,
But we don't have anything on the 6 acres. We're not offering anything except a place to put your rig.
Yeah, but we still have to clean up.
Yeah.
It should cover our costs.
Just a thought that I had. If you're charging $26.95 to use the full-blown thing, in my mind, I think that's reasonable. If you're charging $20 to use the one that has water and power hookup, I think that's reasonable. If you don't want to use those 2, go park out in the 6-acre dirt. Don't charge them anything for that. That way, these people don't feel like, well, we have no options. Because, originally I had to say that I thought we should charge them about $10, $9.95, $10, $11.95 to park out in the gravel. But with that, if you just say, okay, if you've done it in the past, you want to go park in the gravel, just go ahead and park out in the gravel. At least they don't feel as if they're getting.
But they didn't park out in the gravel. They parked on our parking lot
Yeah, and
by
they
the
park out in the
pavilion.
gravel too. But yeah,
Not
send them
very
all
many.
out.
This
Because
weekend,
I
there-
drove by.
This weekend there were none on the gravel.
Yeah,
Only a
there was
couple
a-
out there.
yeah.
Just a
Yeah,
couple.
I drove by and I didn't see any, but maybe they come
Well,
later.
there were 2 out there, and then they moved, and then there was one up there that parked along in front of the.
Because it's going to wear down.
Where the softball spots are.
It's going to wear down our
It's tearing up
Park-
our pavement.
pavement
But
and,
another thing I was going to
and
mention.
the cleaning that it takes.
There was one that was parked in there on the north side of the barn. Now, how he got in there is beyond me.
Of the roping arena?
No. You know where all the barns are?
Yeah.
Okay, he had gone up there and backed in and parked along on the north side of the barns. There was an RV in there, and I don't know what his purpose. I don't know what his purpose was being in there, but it's
got an in with somebody out of track, or he wouldn't have gotten in there.
It could be, but and I'll see the same thing. Maybe this is a poor analogy, but I'll see guys in the asparagus sale wonder, boy, we got to get the price up. And this is good. They get the price up, but then the grades come down, you know, and in essence, what I'm saying is we get the price up and we have vacancies out here. It's not the same as we keep the price to where people are going to use it, and we keep that sucker full all the time.
It's better to pay a little less, have them pay a little less and have it full than to have the price up and have it half full.
What do you want to do then?
This is a concern to
I
me.
don't know. I think we should try it, Frank, and if we find that it's empty, too empty,
We can't have it empty.
then we're
We-
going to have to do something about
We
our
got to
price.
keep it up. What I don't want to do is get the bad publicity to begin with on the thing, and then we got to go back and educate the people, and we lose the interim of revenue that we could be bringing in.
Yeah, I just want track out of transfer.
Well, we have a beautiful facility. That is really nice out
Yes,
there.
it's gorgeous.
It's really nice.
Now, are we going to have any kind of ribbon cutting?
You know, we have, I don't see why we
You know,
shouldn't.
here Rich
It's
is chamber president, and that's what they do.
I think it would be a good idea.
And
and
invite the other entities like.
invite the city people out.
Yeah, well, we can certainly do that. We're just trying to get the
Because
Why
I
don't we
think
set that
it's-
up in the next 2 or 3 weeks?
But we could get some good publicity with the paper and the TV, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, and then we got the hotel that's coming in, and it's all publicity for track.
Well, no, I'll talk to Rich about it.
Because I think people need to be aware of what a beautiful facility we have out there.
You know what? Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting. The Wasatch is looking for a place to do training for about 100 people here in Tri-City. I went to Paul Parker because they said, well, if you know of any spots, let us know. And so I went to Paul Parker because he's putting it together, and I offered track. I told him that we could probably. He says, "Well, we're not looking. We can't pay for the meeting space." And I said, typically track does not charge you for the meeting space, but we cannot buy your lunches for you. And he says, "Oh no," he said, we plan on doing that." And I said, "Well, I'm going to have track give you a call if you're interested in having it out at track. Then, we could probably accommodate the meeting space."
What you need to do, Fred, is don't say, when Ray tells us, say, well, we got to do this and this, say, no, here's what we're going to have. In other words, we can't let them say policy override something like this.
Well, no,
There's a
I'm
lot of
ask-
good promotion for us.
The reason why I'm saying this now is because I'm asking you, is that all right?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That makes me mad. That makes me mad. We get an opportunity like this, we don't capitalize on it really, because we get people from all over that'll come into that
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, and I called. Actually, I called.
When
Track
is it gonna
Friday,
happen?
July 15th. I
Well,
called Track.
would our hotel be open?
It should be open by then.
It's supposed to, he said May 10th, Neva, so you figure June 1st or June 10th, it'll be open.
Yeah.
It should be.
Well, they're just looking for a one-day class for those people around the Tri-City area because they're putting them throughout the whole state of Washington. So it's a one-time thing. But they're looking for I think they already voted it in for the 2005 Wasatch meeting, and I think they voted to have it back up at that up above Twist, up in that hotel up on top of that hill.
Oh my gosh,
Well,
that won't accommodate everybody.
You have to end up staying down in the little town of Winthrop. And they have it
Twist
up there.
area. But anyway, I'm glad that you're not gonna basically.
No, tell Ray what you want and then do it.
Well, I did. I called him up and I said, we're gonna let him have the meeting space, but we can't give him the meetings. So, okay, we're gonna put it together.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll follow up with him.
Okay.
I want to go out there this afternoon. I want to talk to Rob, but I want to see how the RV park held up.
Yeah, I want to go too.
It was good. I was in there yesterday afternoon about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
I'm going to go now.
I gotta see. I'll just.
Anything else? Are we adjourned?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, God. It's been delightful. Oh, that RV park looks nice.
Yeah, it does.
I took my wife and son and daughter-in-law through there yesterday afternoon. We ate over at Hayes. Went out there. Gee, that was good.
Reconvene,
I move for approval of the payroll as specified.
and I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
on that resolution number, I had it changed to 185. I skipped the middle one.
Okay, is that it now? We're done. Okay, Pat.
Thank you very much.
We are adjourned. Well, no, I'm glad to get it out of the way.